Hello, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl, Kate McNingwe, a Cameroonian living in Germany. And I give my 2 cents on what it feels like living in Germany as an immigrant or going through an asylum process as a person who went through the process myself. So, today, what I want to talk about is having babies in Germany as an immigrant, not only as an asylum speaker, as an immigrant or as an African, if I want to be more precise. Most of the times when we Africans, I will speak for us Africans, there are many other nationalities, they do the same thing, but I want to speak to Africans. Most of us, when we come to Germany and we are seeking for asylum, we come with the, especially girls, we come with the mentality that a baby can save your life. A baby can never save your life in Germany if you're seeking asylum. A baby can delay your asylum process decision, but it can never change it. So if you come to Germany with the mentality, because most people, women, when they come, the first thing they do is to have a baby, because they know when they have a baby, they cannot be sent back. Just because you cannot be sent back immediately does not mean that you cannot be sent back later. There are many people here, many women whom I know that have had babies, and 5 years later they tell them to go back if their asylum process was denied, or if they don't have a valid document. So do not deceive yourself. Do not jump into this wagon of having a baby. And a baby can be very, very difficult. So what I would advise is, if you come to Germany and you are seeking asylum, for example, do not go ahead and have a baby with just any man because you think that a baby will make your life easy. A baby would only make your life difficult. Number one, a baby cannot, like I said, cannot change the decision. It cannot influence the decision of your asylum. It can only delay the process, because of course they're not going to send back a pregnant woman, or they're going to send back a woman with a little baby. But these people never forget. They're going to wait for the right time. And if it's that they have to send you back, you will be sent back. So instead of you rushing to have a baby as a woman, you should focus on learning the language and acquiring a skill, so that whatever the outcome be, you wouldn't have lost everything. I'm not saying having a baby is losing everything. Let me explain this. Instead of having a baby because you want that baby to save, like an anchor baby, I would rather, because at the end of the day, they will still send you back home. I would rather you take this time, if your asylum is still under process, or your document is still under process, take this time to learn a language, acquire a skill. You are most likely to be retained in the country after acquiring a skill than after having a baby. Does that make sense? Like, if your asylum process fails, if you're denied, you're most likely to stay in the country if you've managed to learn the language and acquire a skill, or learn a job, a skilled job, not unskilled labor where you go work in a warehouse. If you've acquired a skilled skilled in Germany, you're most likely to remain in the country than if you've just had a baby. And if you have a baby, that baby is going to delay your delay you of acquiring this skill or learning the language, because you'll be home taking care of the baby. And this is how time passes. You understand? I know people whose asylum process have been denied, but because they've taken this time, and also the best way you can delay the process by acquiring a skill, or by going to school. That way you can delay the process, because they wouldn't just uproot you from your school. If you're learning an Ausbildung, they wouldn't. Ausbildung is like apprenticeship or learning a job. It's almost like a university degree. If you're acquiring a skill, or if you're learning an Ausbildung, the possibility of them uprooting you from your Ausbildung and sending you back home because your asylum process has been denied is really, really slim. You understand what I mean? It's really, really slim. But the possibility of them uprooting you with a newborn baby and sending you back home is high. They could still do that because Germany is looking for skilled labor. So rather than just going forward to have a baby, it's better you use that time to learn a language and acquire a skill. Many people with failed asylum process are still in Germany. Why? Because they've been able to learn the language, do an Ausbildung, get a job. And when you get a job, then you can change your status from an asylum seeker. Your job gives you a work permit. You change your status as an asylum seeker, and now you are an employee in Germany. That is better, in my opinion. A baby is just only going to delay you. I have a baby, but before I had my baby, I have learned the language, did an Ausbildung, completed it before I had my baby, even though my asylum process was successful. So, my dear women and even men, be careful. Do not just jump on the wagon. Do not just follow the crowd. Think wisely when you come to this country. And in what situation are you having a baby? Yes, if you have a baby, most people say, if I have a baby, the government will assist you. But how much is it? At the beginning, it seems like a lot of money when you just come into Germany, because you haven't really excuse me, you haven't really know the worth. There is not so much going on. But as you continue to live, and as you want to grow in the country, you realize that money that you get from the government is chicken change. You can't really do much. It's just feeding from hand to mouth. You just keep struggling. That's why most people stay here for long and they think Germany is so difficult, because you come and you think that you already know what you want. You ask and people tell you, oh, go have a baby. They won't send you back. Go have a baby. The government will assist you. How much are they assisting you for? With? How much? So the best thing, in my opinion, be wise. A baby can always come. And the longer you stay in the country without learning the language and without doing an building or acquiring a skill, the more difficult it becomes. Most of us come here not as spring chickens. We don't come here, as 18, 19. Some of us are already of age, and the longer you wait, the more difficult, the older you get, the more difficult it is to get back into learning something. So just know that a baby would not save you. And if, for crying out loud, if you must, please be mindful of whom you lay with to conceive a child. Women, I'm saying this to us. Be mindful the person you lay with to conceive a child in Europe or Germany especially. Because the person with whom you reproduce will determine your well-being for the next 18 years. If you mistakenly have a baby with the wrong person, you would be psychologically traumatized. It is already difficult as Africans living in Europe or living in Germany because of the societal structure. We do not have that kind of society we have back at home, where everyone helps everyone knows everyone. Here, it's you and you alone. I lived in an apartment complex for 5 years. I don't even know my neighbor. That's how bad it can be. Believe me, you. And then if you have a baby with someone who doesn't care, that means you are on your own with that baby. Yes, you might get financial support, but you are on your own. So be careful with whom you lay with. If you must have a baby, not only because of delaying your process, but in general, this is in general. Be careful. Women go through a lot. I know that in Europe, you cannot just have a baby and abandon that baby because of the way the system is built to protect women and babies. But it's not all about money, it's all about mental stability. The wrong man can shatter your mental stability. So be very careful. And this also goes, and yet now to men. If you know you are not willing to support a baby, or if you are not capable of supporting a baby, do not have a baby. Protect yourself, my dear men. This Europe or Germany is structured in a way that it protects women and children first before men. And men likewise, be careful with the kind of woman you lay with. Let's just be careful. Because if you have a baby and you don't have a good partner, it can be very, very damaging to our mental health. Very, very damaging. Because you are alone. The only person you can depend on, if you do not have your family, your mother or your father, which most of us do not have as Africans. So the only person you have is the person with whom you laid with. And if that person is not stable and is not there, you are lonely. That baby is literally your tail. You cannot breathe. It's going to be really, really heavy on you. And for the men, sometimes, do not bring your African mentality here. Sometimes, in Africa, you can have a baby with a woman and don't care. In Europe, the born pikin through where. The born pikin through where. If you born them, you go look at them. That is what it is. If you conceive a baby, you are obligated. You must financially take care of that baby. So if you know that you are not financially stable, don't try it. Protect yourself. Mistake now we name. If you make a mistake, that's your problem. The baby is here. You must take care of it. Because I've noticed that there are some men that they are weeping. They are struggling financially. Because if you take care of your baby and you break up with your partner, that means you have to pay accommodation, Unterhalt, as they say, for that baby. Child support you have to pay. That's why I would advise that if you're not financially stable, if you're doing a job like an unskilled job, you're working in a warehouse, okay, and you're not earning that much because it's a warehouse. We all know those people don't earn that much. You have, let's say, even if you have like 1,800 netto, and you and your partner, the person with whom you have a baby, are not together. Those are separate households. That means you will pay your rent and then you pay child support from that very money, the small money you're earning. And then before you start thinking of supporting your people back at home, because that's what we do. We support our people back at home. There are men with 2 children, 3 children who are not with their mothers. You will pay for it. And at the end of the day, they start telling those women that they are wicked. How can you lay with a woman unprotected and then you don't expect an outcome? We are not children. We are adults. We already know what will happen. So if the woman does not protect herself and you do not protect yourself, 2 consenting adults, it's not a mistake. It's not a mistake. It doesn't just work like that. The government will make you pay for it. From your check. And it is financially, it is harder on men. when it comes to children. I would say psychologically on women, financially on men, and sometimes psychologically on men also, mentally on men also. Because when if you guys are not together and you split two different households, the man, you have to pay child support for that lady. And if the lady is not working, the government will assist her with housing. But then your own child, you have to pay for housing for your child, because you are the man, you are the father of that child. If the woman is not working and you're working a job that is not paying well, you have to pay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as you're working, you're paying. And if you have a baby before you decide to go do an house building, gentlemen, no problem. The government will take over the cost of your child. And once you're done with your house building, you start paying back little by little. They are not doing it for free. The government is not taking the responsibility of no sane adult man. They will not. So if you make that mistake, you might end up just working your life in Europe, paying for child support. Paying for child support. Believe me, you. So be very careful. Let's be careful with this childbearing in Europe. There are advantages and disadvantages. It's okay. If you have a baby in Europe, your child has a better possibility, health insurance, it's Europe. We know what it comes with. But you as a parent, if you're not ready for it, do not do it. Do not do it. There are couples who are fighting, calling each other names because of a baby that they laid together to make. Because either the man thought he could just eat his cake and have it and no consequences. No. And the woman likewise. So let's be careful. Children in Europe is very, very difficult, expensive and difficult. And the woman, yes, when you're not working, the government will help you. As long as you start working, your child is on your own. You are solely responsible for your children. So be careful. What's the standard? So it all depends on even if you start working, it all depends on what standard of living you want to have. The more children you have, the more difficult it becomes. Children are expensive. And then you have to pay, you have to give out more. Means you have to earn a lot. Sometimes we wonder why we see a rich a German couple and they have 1, 2 children. And us, with our small jobs that we are doing, we have 5 because we know that there's a kindergarten. If you calculate it at the end of the day, how much is that kindergarten? Yes, it can be enough, but at what standard? What standard? Even these rich people, they get kindergarten. And they can afford some extra things in life. So if you just want to be basic, receiving kindergarten and going by, yeah. But if you want to really live life, you would know. Cut your coat according to your cloth. So let's be careful. Men, if you have a baby, know that you will take care of it. So be careful. And women also. Let's not use a baby as a safeguard. Let's not use it as a weapon, as an anchor to stay here. Even if you must, be wise with whom you lay with. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you've taken 1 or 2 things from this video. And see you next time. Bye.